What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Sports to the Wire. For those of you who are new to the channel, I am Rashid, your hostess, and the other hostess on the other side of the park is Berick.
What's the deal, guys?
Or actually, as Google on my car, you know, when I put in a voice call, this is calling Brick. So Google says his name is Brick.
Yeah, I've been mistaken for that name too a lot of times. But you know what? If it sounds good, I roll with it.
All right, today we're getting into the Western Conference playoffs right now with the Houston Rockets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Can Houston actually pull this off, or can LeBron actually pull this off? And we've seen the first three games. It's been 3 games so far, right? And
yeah, LA's up 2-1.
So, Berick, take us off on this one, man. Take us off, brother.
Well, you know, right now you look at and I'm going to focus on the state of the Houston Rockets, and I believe you will as well, because right now we have our opinions about where the Lakers are going to be, but Rajon Rondo's been balling out the last couple of games. There's your point guard, and everyone else has been able to do their thing.
That was their weakness. Well, we were talking about that, I think, a couple of months ago. That getting rid of Lonzo Ball was a huge mistake because of the way, what the Lakers are actually doing to James Harden right now is what teams can do to LeBron. Is actually just as soon as he brings the ball up half court, blitz him, and then make a non-playmaker try to beat you. So that's what they're doing right now. So, but Rajon Rondo has been actually taking a lot of pressure off of LeBron James.
Exactly.
Very smart player.
He's got a lot of playoff experience. He also has a championship with the Celtics. So, you know, what he brings to the table versus, you know, what LeVar Ball can bring, you know, that was a different story. But, you know, the Rockets right now, you and I have discussed this off camera as we prep. And my problem with the Rockets can go beyond the court, because you can talk about taking the ball and double up hard in that mid-court and taking the ball out of his hands. But James Harden's playoff performances has been below average.
Well, that's why. I mean, like I said, they're going to take away your strengths, man. That's just how it is. They're going to take away your strengths. They're not going to let you do what you do best. You're going to have to adjust. He's going to have to learn how to play off the ball. And I said this, if Houston is going to go far, it needs to be Russell Westbrook bringing the ball up, and then James Harden has to play off the ball, because James Harden is an excellent catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And Russell Westbrook, in terms of like putting pressure on your defense and collapsing the defense and kicking out to open shooters, is actually better than James Harden. Because he just goes, and the problem with Westbrook is that he just goes 100 miles an hour, and his shot selection and his decision making is sometimes questionable. But if he can just you know, easy, man, just take your time a little bit, slow it down a little bit, survey the floor. The Houston Rockets would be in a much better position. But James Harden is going to have to play off the ball because he's just the better shooter. The problem is that when you have James Harden on the ball, they double him and they forcing Westbrook to shoot threes, and which with the last couple of years was at 24%, 22%, 25%. That's just not going to get it done, dude. It's not.
Yeah, that's that. Well, you know what? Then that's where the other problem begins. Because Daryl Morey had the decision to make in regards to why did you get knocked out last year. And obviously you had more time to think in the offseason, of course, with this whole thing with the COVID. You decided to get rid of Clint Capella. And you basically say to the rest of the N.B.A. world that we can beat you playing small ball. And let's talk about that for a second. You see, I've seen teams play small ball during the game to match up, to have an advantage, most likely to either get back in the basketball game or basically take off and double your figures and get ahead of them, so that way you're not getting into a crunch time situation in the fourth quarter. That's understandable. That's part of basketball strategy. to mix and match. And most teams
Well, yeah,
go small.
the playoffs are all about matchups. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, the playoffs are all about
you're
matchups. Yeah.
Right, but you're talking about doing this full time. And somehow, this is where my problem with basketball has changed. And you and I have talked about this, and we had a disagreement because obviously the biggest thing is you got rid of the hand checking. I'm still a fan of what took place back in the 90s. Why? Because it was gritty during the regular season, and it was grittier through the playoffs. By the time you got to the playoffs, there wasn't no strategy to beat anybody else. It was like, look, we played you 4 times a year, and all 4 of our games went down the wire, and now we got to play 7 games. It's all about man on man. Who is more willing to win the game?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different in the regular. It's a different in the regular season than the playoffs. Because let's say, all right. So let's say if the two teams are actually meeting up in the regular season, well, one team can be coming off a back-to-back, and then one team is not. So you can't really judge it that by the regular season. Yeah, I mean, in the playoffs, both teams, the preparation.
The players in the yesterday played every night. Now you got low management. You kidding me?
Well, yeah, you have to, man. I mean, you played a lot of basketball. Listen, you be able to hand check someone, it takes a lot of pressure off your lower extremities, man. It does. You don't have to rely on your knees.
And doing it now because the NBA wants to see more points scored. Listen, I'm not gonna go too far off the beaten trail here. Okay, we can take it to the next level all we want, and it's true. And you're not wrong, nor neither am I. But at the end of the day, you're looking at a Houston Rocket team that has decided to go small ball. Okay, they have decided to go small ball, and they believe that they can have success doing this without a rim protector. So we're gonna shoot our way, and we're gonna try to create turnovers and get fast breaks. And that's how we're gonna get our points. At the end
listen. They have nobody. They have nobody to match up with LeBron James, regardless. They have nobody to match up with LeBron James. Even Clint Capella's not matching up with LeBron.
Okay, but if you don't win this series, brother, and I'm gonna say this right here on YouTube, right here on Zoom, if you don't win this series, Mike D'Antoni, you're getting fired, baby. Not Daryl Morey. Because Daryl Morey had to make a decision. His job was to make decisions.
I like the idea of it, man. Because if these guys could play scrappy and collapse the paint, the thing the Houston Rockets' problem is that you got to keep the Lakers in the half court. They are a horrible half court team. They are a horrible half court team. Their half court offense is abysmal. So if you can actually just keep them in the half court set, then you have a chance. But they haven't been doing that. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Well,
and then they're not trapping LeBron.
AD, how are you going to pressure anybody?
What's that?
If you can't match up with either LeBron or AD,
well, the idea is that they just come down and not. You got PJ Tucker. You got PJ Tucker playing your 5. He can hit threes. I think he can hit the corner threes. He's an excellent corner 3-point shooter.
Yeah, he get the threes, but well, let me tell you something, bro. They have good players on that team. I'm not saying they don't. I just don't think you can run the table and get to the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals, playing small ball. They're down 2-1, and if they go down 3-1, it's over.
Yeah,
it's over. And the bottom line is, the moment they get eliminated, and they will, and if they don't, if they somehow beat the Lakers, I will come on this channel and eat my words. I guarantee you. But I don't see it happening. And I also don't see D'Antoni keeping his job. But I do see him getting a job somewhere else. He's a good coach.
Definitely.
He's a very good coach. But I don't see him staying in Houston. And once